14th of May, 2022. Time keeps passing, relentlessly, inexorably. So good to ask ourselves from time to time, what are we doing with our time? How well are we using our time? It's always good to be asking ourselves this. And sometimes maybe we start out inspired in the practice, and then time goes on, and we get into a rut, or things happen in life, different stages of life, and how do we deal with it? So, good to question ourselves, check in with ourselves, ask ourselves, how am I doing? What am I doing? So how am I using my time? So when we come to the monastery, it's a very good opportunity to use our time skillfully, and it's important to make sure we use the time, the short time that we have here, whether we've come here as a guest, day visitor, a guest for a week, a month, a few months, or whether we've taken ordination as Anagarikas, novices, monks, bhikkhus, even us bhikkhus, in the big scheme of things, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years is not a long time. So whatever short period of time that we're here in the monastery, to use our time skillfully, making sure to engage in those practices of sitting meditation, walking meditation, not letting those fall by the wayside. Because if we let them fall by the wayside, we might get stuck in a rut, and we might start to think, well, I'm still suffering. What is this? The practice isn't working. So checking in with ourselves, and still suffering. It must be the place. It must be something outside, or I must be using the wrong technique, or whatever. So checking in with ourselves. And if we are, when we are suffering, then it's easy for the mind to spin out and create a story about it. And it's good to really question ourselves, deeply question ourselves. And I know there's been times in my life, in my bhikkhu life, when I've made assumptions or been totally sure about things. This is the way it is. This is the way this person is. And it was just the mind, just realizing that it was just the mind. Or we can get negative. We can get very negative about things. Well, Buddha said, first noble truth, dukkha. So we can interpret that as life sucks and then you die. And that's it. So we can get very negative. But that's an extreme. That's an extreme view. So we're just speaking based on a feeling, if we feel that way. Or everything's great. Just choose to be happy. There is no suffering. Everything's wonderful. I don't suffer. I don't have any sense of self. And then we got to be careful of that too. That's another extreme. So we're looking at balance. How to balance the faculties, compose the faculties with the Buddha called Indriya Samvara, the composure of the faculties, composure of the sense faculties. So it's all in the heart, it's all inside. And this is a key point, vital point, a key tenet of Buddhism. It's all occurring inside. The experience, whatever we're experiencing, it's coming from the heart. So I'll throw out some vocabulary for people who might not be familiar with the term Kruba Ajahn. So I remember talking all about Kruba Ajahns during one Thanksgiving retreat, and we had a Q&A session, and somebody asked, what's a Kruba Ajahn? So I realized, oh yeah, I'm not in Thailand. So we say Kruba Ajahn, that comes from the northeast of Thailand. it probably comes from like kruba. Kru comes from is the word for teacher, and probably it comes from guru, teacher. Guru means, we have guru. The word guru has a pretty bad perception in the West because we've had so many charlatan teachers and people who have taken advantage of others, and it seems to be the norm, actually. And somebody who doesn't have some sort of controversy or happen, then that seems to be unusual. And so the word guru actually has quite a positive connotation. It means heavy. Guru means heavy. And so the guru is supposed to be one who's heavily laden with good qualities. So that's guru. Garu. Garu is another form. We say garu banda, which means heavy requisites or heavy articles. Guru banda, it's a heavy requisites belonging to the Sangha. Garu banda. So kru is a word meaning teacher in Thai. Kruba probably comes from Guru Baba. It's like venerable father. Kruba. So we say Kruba Ajahn, it's like venerable father, teacher. So when we talk about the Kruba Ajahns, we're talking about Ajahn Mun and the Thai forest Ajahns. So they tend to say, well, it's all coming from here, from inside. It's all coming from in the heart. And make sure we look into this and consider this deeply, to question ourselves about things and not too easily believe the mind. So with a well-trained mind, we can start to believe it when the mind is well-trained. But if it's not well-trained, we have to be careful. So if we think the suffering's coming from outside, that's the sign of a mind that's not yet trained. But we start to bring it inside. So when we start to see suffering, we start to see it. So that comes from a quality we call mindfulness, or sati. And that's coupled with another term, sampajanya. So sati sampajanya is mindfulness and clear awareness. And what is sati? What is mindfulness? So we hear about mindfulness meditation. And so what is mindfulness? The one definition of mindfulness is it's like the brakes that we put on the mind. Mindfulness is simply a reminder. We could call it remindfulness. Mindfulness is simply a reminder to be aware. Mindfulness is simply a reminder to be aware. So when we say establishing mindfulness, we're actually thinking, we're reminding ourselves to be aware. Or we could think about it as in terms of indriya sangwara, or composure of the faculties. Mindfulness could be a simple question to ourselves: what am I doing right now? We catch ourselves and we stop. What am I doing right now? That's why we bow. That's why we do these different practices in the monastery. So when we bow, we can ask ourselves, what am I doing right now? And then we compose ourselves. So composing the faculties, balancing. So that's what we do when we bow. That's one of the main reasons we bow, is to reestablish mindfulness. When we come into the Dhamma hall and we bow, it's not just mindlessly paying homage to an image, to a Buddha image, or we get blamed for sometimes idolatry, worshipping images, but it's just establishing mindfulness. What am I doing right now? This Buddha image behind us, it just helps us to reestablish mindfulness and ask, what am I doing? Where's my mind? Where's the heart right now? How is it? How is it right now? Is it doubting? Is it fearful? Yeah. How is it? How is it right now? Is it full of metta? Is it full of kindness? Or is it irritated? Is it angry? However it is, that's just how it is. we become aware of it right now in the moment. In the Bhaddekaratta Sutta, the Buddha talks about knowing the mind in each moment and just knowing it's just that way. He doesn't actually talk about changing it in that particular sutta. He just says, each mind state, one knows it. This is how it is. This is the way it is in the moment. This is just how it is. This is how anger is. This is how irritation is. Is it suffering or is it not suffering? So when the mind sees, I'll say the heart, when the heart sees something very clearly as suffering, it can't do that anymore. It won't do it anymore. Deep down inside, we all want happiness. We want to avoid suffering. So when in our heart of hearts we actually see something is causing suffering, so if we see that anger really is causing suffering, that the heart can't do that anymore. It can't do it. Deep down inside, we don't want to suffer. So if we really see it as suffering, it can't go there anymore. So that's wisdom. So that comes from seeing very clearly. So I was listening to some Luang Por Sumedho teachings recently, and he's just emphasizing that over and over and over again. Just, it's like this right now. We don't need to analyze it or overthink it, but just, it's like this. Irritation's like this, anger's like this. Joy is like this, or however it is right now is just like this. It's just this way. How I feel right now is like this. So that's awareness. And if we've forgotten to be aware, then that's called losing mindfulness. And that's fine. We just reestablish it. And reestablishing mindfulness is just that impetus in us which says, what am I doing right now? Okay, awareness, what's going on right now. So we develop this reflective ability to look at ourselves in the moment. And that's all it is. That's really all we're doing. That's all the sila, the precepts, the daily meditation, the chanting. It's just to be aware of ourselves, just to check in with ourselves. The bowing, all the communal activities we do. So let us be aware of ourselves. That's all. It's very simple, very easy. Well, it's not easy, actually. It's very difficult. It's not at all easy. Things get too heavy, things get tight, things get tense. Well, wait a minute, what am I doing? Where's the heart right now? What am I doing right now? Where's the mind? What's going on right now? So establishing mindfulness. And in a way, discontent and suffering is good because it can give us a strong impetus to reestablish mindfulness. If we get lost in happiness, then we might lose our mindfulness and it might be a cause of suffering again. So we have to be careful. So it's just giving that encouragement to reestablish mindfulness, take that opportunity of being in the monastery, not to get caught too much in conversation. One of the difficult things about living in the monastery is actually doing the practice, but this place exists to be able to do the practice. But if we get caught in conversation, we don't make it back to our dwelling places, we're not taking that opportunity, so we're not giving ourselves that opportunity to practice. But if we get back to our dwelling places, get on the walking meditation path, get on the sitting cushion, even if it's not peaceful, we are practicing, we're trying, and only then will there be progress. But if we get caught in conversation, the the Buddha talked about idle chatter. He said, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. He defined it as speech that is useless. So if we find ourselves engaging in speech that is useless, for example, after the meal, then to be careful to say, reestablish mindfulness. What am I doing right now? All right, let's get back to the dwelling place, maybe take a short rest, get back on the walking meditation path. Don't have much time. There's not much time. We did funeral chanting this evening. People are dying all the time, and funeral chanting was done twice today. Actually, there was a family they were spreading ashes of a family member who passed away, and they weren't that old, and they were spreading some ashes behind the gold Buddha. And there's not much time. Things are always, our bodies are aging, and death happens. So death can be a spur to mindfulness. It's reflecting on the green Buddha that arrived. That's outside this beautiful Buddha image that arrived from Thailand, which we put so much work into to seeing it get here, and it was damaged. It was one of the shoulder adornments was damaged during the shipping, and I thought Luang Por had the perfect teaching for that. So I was in the Arizona area for a week, just taking a week away from the monastery and doing some hiking and meditation. And Luang Por has been in Brazil for the last 3 weeks visiting the new branch monastery there, Sudavari, and so we came back together, and it was the first time Luang Por paid respects to the green Buddha image and was able to see it, and I was asking him what he thought about the damage to the shoulder, and he recounted the story of Ajahn Chah building his Uposatha hall, building his ordination hall in Wat Nong Papong, and how they spent so much time and effort and work and money building this ordination hall, and then when it was finished, it had taken so long that a crack had appeared in the concrete, and when it was just finished and somebody pointed out to Ajahn Chah, there's a crack. Oh no, there's a crack in the concrete. And Ajahn Chah said, no cracks, no Buddhism. No cracks, no Buddhism. So I thought that was the perfect teaching for this green Buddha. No break, no Buddhism. No damage, no Buddhism. And this is a wonderful Dhamma teaching, and not just saying that, it really is a good Dhamma teaching. Tomorrow is Visakha Puja, which commemorates it's the full moon of May. They say, according to the stories, that the Buddha was born on the full moon of May, got enlightened on the full moon of May, and passed away on the full moon of May, so it commemorates those 3 times. The Buddha passing away, I think, well, why did the Buddha have to pass away? So that's a teaching. We might have these hopes of living for an extremely long period of time, living to be over 100, 200, 500 with modern science. I remember a few years ago visiting my parents on the Big Island of Hawaii when they were still living there. They're living back in California now, but when they were still living the Big Island of Hawaii, going into a coffee shop and seeing a pamphlet on a bulletin board, and it said, "The first person to live to be 1,000 has already been born." And or like anti-aging. I've heard a lot about, especially these days, anti-aging clinics or reversing aging, or that the body doesn't actually have to die. We can make the body live, perhaps even immortality, or live for an extremely long period of time. How much effort are we willing to put into that? So of course it's ridiculous. And the body isn't what becomes enlightened. The personality, the body, that's not what reaches liberation. So the body is just doing its thing. In and of itself, it doesn't really know anything. And the body, we reflect on these different body parts. It's one of our practices, the kammatthana, the basis of work or the basis of practice, where in our meditations, we do these analytical meditations of either visualizing or simply thinking about repeating the names of different body parts and looking into it. Is this me? Is it mine? Is any part of it me or mine? And slowly helping the mind to understand that none of this is me or mine. And also looking for where are we considering it to be me and mine. It's very subtle stuff and really hard to see, but we start to do these analytical meditations in order to help the mind to extract itself from that attachment to me and mine. And so we look into these 5 basic meditation objects. That's hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. These are these very ordinary things given as a meditation object to novices. When they take the going forth, they first put on the brown robes. We say, think about these things, look into this: hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. And it seems so utterly ordinary, even just weird. Why would we tell them to look into hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin? And yet, true insight into those things is what liberates the mind, liberates the heart, gives us total freedom. So we look into these things, these very ordinary things that we take as ours. So the Buddha's giving this teaching. Even the Buddha, even someone as great as the Buddha, getting old and passing away. I was recently listening to Ajahn Ñāṇiko Dhamma talk, and he was talking about, he has this talk he gave a few days ago, so he was also reflecting on the Buddha. This is Buddha Nusati, reflection on the Buddha, recollection of the Buddha. Can help to bring joy and lightness to the heart, sense of inspiration. And he was reflecting on the Buddha's birth, and there's this story, this legend, that when the Buddha was born, not yet the Buddha, but considered a bodhisattva or a Buddha to be at that time, taking 7 steps and 7 lotuses growing up under the feet spontaneously as he took 7 steps. And that, and I had never heard this before, but those 7 lotuses being symbolic that he would go to 7 different kingdoms and teach 7 kingdoms. So in the suttas we have these different kingdoms that the Buddha went to as Buddhism spread through India at that time. The kingdom of Magadha, Kapilavatthu, and so on. So there's recollection of the birth of the Buddha, that the Bharami is full, and then the enlightenment, where the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, sat down under the Bodhi tree and actually used anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, to still the mind and bring it to a state of peace and wellness. And with total equanimity and mindfulness fully established, then bringing the mind to a greater and greater sense of settledness and peace, to the point that he was able to attain knowledge and vision of things as they are, and the mind was able to eventually awaken. So we recollect those things. Tomorrow, being Visakha Puja, we'll recollect those things and the legacy of the Buddha. But again, all these things are just to get ourselves to ask ourselves, what am I doing? How have I been using my time? If I've been wasting my time for the last month, then just picking it up, starting over. We do have to be forgiving with ourselves, but at the same time we have to pressure ourselves. What am I doing? The Buddha gave this teaching. Happiness leads to samadhi. So how does that work? So when the mind is happy, when the mind has a sense of ease and contentment, well-being, very deep sense of well-being and joy, then the mind doesn't need to think so much, because if we look at our thinking, it's all about getting away from suffering and getting to happiness. So when we have a sense of deep contentment and joy, it comes from keeping the precepts and cultivating sila, meditating every day, and just practicing, settling the mind. The mind attains a sense of peace and contentment and ease and well-being and clarity. And when it has that, then the heart gets lifted up. And what is it like when we're not irritated by anything, when we're not angry at anybody? What is that like? What is that like when there's no problems? We can always easily create a problem out of things. There's always some sort of issue to pick up. The world's a big place. There's always something wrong. There's always some problem we can think about, ruminate over, chew on, some issue we can chew on and get righteous about. There's always something. There's always somebody who's doing something wrong. So, but what is that like when we drop it all? Or better yet, when we don't even pick it up in the first place. If we don't pick it up, we don't have to drop it, because we didn't pick it up in the first place. So what is that like when we don't pick it up? So when the heart gets buoyed up, and when the heart sings, the heart will sing. This is the phrase that comes to my mind. When the heart sings, because it's happy, it's content. And this isn't just the happiness of getting some sort of gratification, some fleeting sense gratification, but when the heart is content and happy and has a sense of ease and well-being, then the mind doesn't think so much. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to, because all the thinking is about, how do I get out of my suffering? How do I get away from that irritating person? Oh, if I could just be on my own, if I could be a hermit, then I would be happy. If these external things weren't happening, then I would be happy. So the mind doesn't think like that. So when we're content, and there's a sense of there's just no problems, no issues, no worries, then the mind feels happy. Of course it's going to settle. Of course it's going to attain samadhi. It's so obvious. Because the mind doesn't have to think. It doesn't have to think about the different issues we've been ruminating over, how to solve them, how to get righteous about them. The mind doesn't have to think like that, because there's already a sense of ease and well-being, happiness and contentment in the moment. But that doesn't happen unless we habitually establish mindfulness over and over again. And it doesn't really happen if we don't look into keeping the precepts and internalizing the precepts. It doesn't really happen if we don't pressure ourselves to meditate every day. It doesn't really happen if we just talk about the practice but don't really do it. But if you do it, then it does happen. If we do it, it does happen. So there's the phrase they say in Thai, if you really do it, you really get it. If you don't do it, you don't get it. If you do it, you get it. It's just how it works. So just putting in a plug for using the time skillfully, using the time well, and we do have this really precious opportunity, so to not let it slip through our fingers. It's so important, so vital. But also to not take this as like some sort of admonishment, but take it more as an encouragement. For myself, I've found over the years, those times when I've been stagnating or thinking my suffering was coming from somewhere outside, and this is normal. It's just when I've been able to reestablish mindfulness and say, what am I doing? The wholesome states just spiral upward. And those times when I've been overcome by delusion, oh, my suffering's coming from this person or that person, this situation, I've had enough of this, then the unwholesome states spiral downward. But with that reestablishing of mindfulness, what am I doing right now? How am I using my time? Wholesome states spiral the heart upward very quickly. It happens very quickly, actually. The moment we drop everything, or the moment we decide, I'm going to try to not pick that up. I'm just not going to pick it up. It takes courage, actually. It takes courage to create new habits. It takes courage we can't just make a 90-degree turn or a U-turn, but we can curb the momentum of our habits. The heart will sing. The heart will be lifted. It'll be uplifted. It's just how it works. I know those times where I've gotten into that sense of feeling sorry for myself, or, oh, this is just my conditioning. I can't really be any other way. And giving into fearfulness, giving into different subtle unwholesome states, giving into subtle irritation. The heart just spirals downward. And that comes from a lack of seeing clearly. So because of, say, maybe I wasn't putting enough effort into the meditation, and let it fall by the wayside, and the heart spirals downward. So that's just how it works. And then reestablishing mindfulness. What am I doing? How am I now? Heart spirals back upward. So just to put effort into the practice, and it's all about it's about happiness and well-being and a sense of ease, clarity, and brightness, so that is possible. I remember a phrase reading of Ajahn Mahabua, true happiness is possible. If the Buddha didn't think it was possible, he wouldn't teach about it. So, and saying all of this comes from a sense of wishing people well, and talking a little bit about tea time, about metta, also, that if we feel like things are getting too heavy in our practice, or the mind is sinking, then metta is a good antidote to that. And why is that? It's because we're not thinking about ourselves. So metta as an antidote, or metta is helping the mind, helping the heart to get buoyed up, helping the heart to get uplifted. Metta is, may you be well, thinking of somebody who might be suffering, somebody we know who might be suffering. May you be well, may you be at ease. Just that well-wishing for somebody else gets us out of ourselves. So in that moment, we're not thinking about ourselves. And in that moment, we're dropping things. There's not those problems associated with just whatever stories we might be creating about ourselves. So that can be another skillful mean as well. It's called the upaya, or the skillful means. How do we get out of ourselves? get out of our heads. And sometimes even just listening to nature, just listening to the crickets or the birds. And walking down the trail, smelling the smells. Today was such a beautiful, utterly perfect day. So the temperature was so pleasant. And just noticing that, sometimes just noticing the external world that surrounds us. The mind can settle. Upaya, skillful means. So since there's a lot of people in the monastery right now, I just felt like I wanted to give encouragement to use the time well and to put some effort into the practice, and we won't regret it if we do that. So I'll leave it there for this evening. For this evening. For this evening. For this evening. For this evening.